Good evening, teachers and classmates. I'm Jianting from Section 3, and now I will have a report on the role of the Confucianism in the rising Chinese economy. The first is the contents of our report. And first, the introduction. The end of the feudal society in China is still relatively short. Even in modern commercial society, Confucianism is still deeply rooted. Such Confucian sources as benevolence, rightness, propriety, wisdom and faith, gentleness, good manners, respect, thrift, loyalty, filial piety, and honor have always been the value orientation allocated by Chinese people in their daily life. This paper focused on the influence of moral sources such as the righteousness, faith, and frugality on China's economic development through the study of the business behavior standards that are used to restrain people by virtue of Confucianism. This is the literature reviews. And second, I will introduce the Asian economic developments with Confucian leadership. The Mencius believe that everyone has the right to pursue profits, while the behavior of businessmen in pursuing profits is not shameful and does not violate morality. On the contrary, he believed that it is reasonable and legitimate for people to pursue profit. So it is obvious that submission's words of not speaking of interest and valuing rightness are aimed at rulers who attach greater importance to selfish style, and he also allocates the gentleman law fortune in a proper way. And thirdly, the reflection of the core of Confucian economic source to contemporary Chinese economic growth is that the traditional cultural values of harmony, benevolence, rightness, costly, wisdom, honesty, loyalty, and filial piety are embodied China's diplomacy through the conception of harmony, the most important Chinese traditional value combined with the economic philosophy of modern China. It has evolved into the new economic concept of people-oriented, family market, and harmonious society. It was performed on the three aspects: the people-oriented, familiar market, and harmony society. First is the people-oriented. Everyone has played an indispensable role in improving China's economy and has developed the socialist economic growth with China's characteristics by the entry of people. And then the familial market. The Chinese is contained in the Confucian source, and individuals work not for themselves but for their family. The family is a resource of moral sentiment, understood as responsibility for others. This is why the main institution is the family and not market. And then family is a key part of Chinese civilization. And then is a harmony society. To Confucians, the key principle is which precedes efficiency, inequality, upsets peace as a precondition for growth. So the state is a moral guide to enable social harmony. This is the key reason for China's longest boom. And the most important is the data analysis. We used the questionnaire survey for the data analysis. So it was conducted among 100 randomly selected volunteers who settled in China. Among them, the Chinese and foreign nationalities are equally divided. The first aspect is the selection of rightness in interest. The results seem that 72% of Chinese choose to report to the country for cooperation. The 18% of Chinese choose to let the state come forward and the company will participate. And remaining 10% choose to directly enter into cooperation. While in this survey, the 45% of foreigners choose to cooperate directly, and 36% choose to report on the country for cooperation, and 90% choose to let the state come forward and the company no longer participate. This means that the majority of Chinese people are influenced by the Confucian ideology of justice and interests, and then they choose to report to the state for cooperation, which not only protects their interests but also keeps in mind the great interests of the country, while most foreigners pay more attention to their personal interests. And the second aspect reflects on the selection of rightness and interest. The question 2's result found that 38% of Chinese people choose to sell it to country at the starting price, and 42% choose to sell it to country at transaction price, and finally the 16% choose to give it to the country directly, and 4% choose to collect it or ignore it. And the 4.2 is talk about tell us that we should be diligent and thrifty. There are 2 survey results on frugality in the questionnaire. The question 3 and question 4. And from this result of the 2 questions, we can see that most Chinese people have the consciousness of diligence and frugality and view of consumption. Most people choose to continue to wear old clothes or use them or for other purposes, while the small number of people choose to clean up, recycle, or discard them, etc. When it comes to spending, and most people will also choose to keep their savings rather than ignore the price until they have spent all of their money. The second is integrity. First, it reflects on the question 5. According to the results of this question, we can find that the 85% of people choose to take back the products and compensate the customer for economic loss, and remain 15% choose to take back the products or ignore it, which shows that the good faith based on Confucian market economy transaction concepts has been deeply rooted in the hearts of the Chinese people. The market economy field transaction has played a good moral constraint. So, from the above survey results, we can find that compared with the economic source of foreigners, Chinese people are more deeply influenced by Confucianism in their consumption behavior, such as allocating thrift, paying attention to the coexistence of economic interests and national justice, and taking integrity as foundation in market transactions. However, there are also some negative effects on the China's economy. For example, Chinese economy is heavy on politics, and the degree of state intervention is high, which seriously impairs the development of the market economy. So in addition, under the influence of the thousands of years of Confucian culture, China attaches great importance to love and justice, while benevolence and justice have formed a unique social environment in which human relations coexistence with the rule of law. Not only that, China's overall economic environment is gradually becoming more stable. People pay attention to the tradition and experience, and the driving force of the innovation and reform is gradually diminishing. These are the constraints of the Confucianism on China's economic development. So in conclusion, the Confucianism also have some negative impacts on the contemporary economic development, such as the emphasis on politics rather than efficiency, the emphasis of human relations rather than the rule of law, the emphasis on tradition rather than change. However, the accession of Confucianism plays an undeniable role in the country's stability and social stability, while the negative impact of these tools on contemporary economic development also exists. This paper adopts the questionnaires way to study the positive and negative effects of Confucianism on contemporary economic developments. Only by correctly understanding the two sides of the influence of Confucianism on the contemporary economy, taking the essence of and discarding the jaws, with combining the East and West, can we truly promote the social stability and the economic development of the contemporary China. So thank you for listening. That's over.